according to the Quran, interaction of the Muslims with the Jews and Christians are recorded. Interaction of the Muslims with the custodians of Masjid al-Haram is recorded. Interaction of the Muslims with the general mushrikun is recorded. Tell me, in which of these interactions were the Muslims peaceful? I can actually get to know about what's happening across the world reading articles written in English. For instance, I can read articles written in English about details of war in Iran right now. Now, if some person shows up here and says, "Oh, look, only if you read an article in Persian, you can really understand, and if you don't read an article in Persian, you won't know what is happening in Iran."
I'm sorry, but
please let me finish. Allah was speaking through the Prophet to Muslims, and this is somewhat the rough content of the conversation. Allah was looking at the Muslims and he was a little bit, how come you Muslims are at peace with some other people? You think Islam is peaceful? Please help. Why do you think Islam is peaceful? Explain.
What do you mean? Define peace. What do you mean by peace? And why is peace your objective?
Peace is an English word.
Yes, but what do you mean by it?
Once. I'm hoping that we don't even have to redefine English words just because religions have confused the words. Peace, I can take the dictionary for you and show you what peace is.
Sure, but I'm asking you, why is peace important for you?
Why is it important for me?
Yeah, why is it important?
Well, that's important for any human civilization, to live at peace. To be, you can do whatever you want, and I allow you to have your life, and likewise you do. We exchange good intent towards each other.
Yeah.
We live with cordiality. These are important things, don't you think? Peace is important.
Yes, it is.
And so peace is very important.
You could have said any other characteristic, but you said peace specifically because you feel
because,
like you've already built your agenda and you want to say something.
No, because I'm speaking about all sorts of different things, but right now I'm speaking about peace, and you just walked along just now.
Okay, yeah.
So we're talking about peace.
Instead of saying, hey, you think your religion is peaceful, that's what you asked me.
Please help me understand. Islam, why do you think Islam is a religion of peace? If you think Islam, so first of all, do you think Islam is a religion of peace?
Okay, so for me, I'm not Muslim because it's a religion of peace. I believe in God and I follow what God wants me to do and His commandments. And it also happens to be a religion of peace. But that's not the main objective.
So my focus right now is not necessarily in finding out what your main objective is. My focus right now is on the topic of whether Islam is a religion of peace or not. If you agree Islam is a religion of peace, you should be able to give me some details as to why Islam is a religion of peace.
Do you understand why I brought up that point? Because peace for you is important, right? But me following my religion is more important, which also happens to be a religion of peace.
So we agree, we agree that you think Islam is a religion of peace. We agree, yeah? You think Islam is a religion of peace.
It's not priority as it is
So
for
I'm
you.
not talking about, let's put it this way. If you walk along and someone stopped you and say, can I have a survey, could you take part in a survey?
Yeah.
And they may have all sorts of questions which may not be first priority in your life, but that's the idea of a survey. They are talking about what they are talking about for whatever reason. So because you are at Speaker's Corner and I am a Christian and you are a Muslim, particularly I am focused on the topic of peace right now. If you think Islam is a religion of peace, then we have some substance to deal with right now.
Let's just escalate this conversation and get to the
why exactly. So why do you think Islam is a religion of peace?
Sure.
Why do you think so? How? What's your reasoning? On what basis do you think Islam is a religion of peace?
Like I said to you, it's not a priority for me, but if I was to analyze why it's a religion of peace, so are we basing it based on humanity or are we comparing it to other religions? Or are you want me to
compare? The
compare?
word peace is an English word.
No.
We know what peace means.
But you asked me to define if it's peaceful or not, right? Correct? Yeah, so am I comparing it to humanity, society, or am I comparing it to other religions? What am I doing?
You understand the word peace.
Yes, sure.
And you see if Islam is that peaceful or not.
How do you want me to prove it to you? Am I comparing it to other religions or am I comparing it to society?
No. I'm particularly talking about Islam right now, so we're not comparing. Yeah.
So how?
So you tell me, Islam as a history, some of which is recorded in the Quran.
Okay.
And rest of the things happen outside of the Quran also. But for example, you can go back all the way to the Quran, 7th century, which of course Muhammad is the best of examples.
Yes.
So maybe that's where you will actually find this at the very core in the best form.
Yes.
So please give me some details from the Quran.
Yes.
What you find in the Quran that makes you think Islam is a religion of peace?
But like I said to you, this is for you. This is to convince you. I'm not a Muslim because it's a peaceful religion. I am
heard
Muslim.
that already.
Yes. So it's not a priority. I don't need to.
But you agree that Islam is a religion of peace?
Yes, I can confirm that. But it's not a priority.
So please, I'm not saying please talk about the most high priority issue. That's not
Yes.
point. Please tell me, you are saying Islam is a religion of peace.
Yes.
And we are going through this repeatedly. And I therefore would like you come across like an intelligent man. You understand what I'm asking.
I'm understanding you.
And
yes.
please, therefore, give me on what basis have you arrived at this conclusion, please.
What basis am I? Okay, so you want me to? Can I think about the answer?
Please think.
Yeah.
10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, sure. Okay, I could just break it down to as simply as dealing with other people. On that basis, how we are taught to deal with other people and how we treat other people. And the example we lead is why I could say it's a religion of peace.
Sure. So, for example, in the Quran,
yes,
you have records of a number
okay,
of
so just before we go to the Quran and everything like that, I am not a knowledgeable person. Okay, I'm not knowledgeable. I was born Muslim. I have general knowledge, but I'm not going to quote something if I'm not too sure about it. I'm also not going to say anything about your religion if I don't know.
Sure.
And
How
I
old
presume
are
that you are a Christian.
I am a Christian.
Yeah.
How old are you?
27.
27.
Yeah.
Old enough.
Old enough for what?
At 27, you would have already voted a couple of times, or at least would have had the opportunity to vote if you're based in the UK. You would have already voted, yeah, in the UK.
No, I
so
haven't.
you haven't. Okay, so that's your choice. You know, no one is compelling you.
No,
but at 27,
yes,
you actually have significant input in this nation if you are based in the UK.
no, sorry.
And so
You didn't hear my point. I'm saying to you, I'm not well-rounded. I'm not well-informed about my own religion. That's what I'm saying to you.
Sure. But what I can say
So what
is
does voting have to do with?
what I'm saying, you're old enough, and therefore your voice is important enough.
Of course, yeah.
And that is where I'm not looking for some scholarly opinion. I'm just looking for a layman opinion. What's your name?
Okay, Ahsan.
Hassan. I'm just looking for Hassan's opinion. I mean, like, I'm just trying to have a human-to-human conversation here. So please, I'll hold you up only to that extent, not anything beyond.
Okay.
And so as a fellow human being, I am a Christian and you are here, and we have come together in this geographic place. I'm trying to find out from Hassan an honest answer for why he thinks. So you said Islam is peaceful
treating people,
because
treating people.
of the way Islam teaches you to treat other people. By other people, I'm assuming you mean the non-Muslims. Everybody, but particularly non-Muslims, because within Muslims.
Regardless.
Sure, but within Muslims, if you treat each other well, I'm not, because I'm talking about the religion itself. I am more interested in how you deal with others. So help me understand. According to the Quran, interaction of the Muslims with the Jews and Christians are recorded. Interaction of the Muslims with the custodians of Masjid al-Haram is recorded. Interaction of the Muslims with the general mushrikun is recorded. Tell me, in which of these interactions were the Muslims peaceful?
Based on the verses.
Based on the detail. You don't have to quote a particular verse, but give me a rough idea. Based on details of what happened in their interaction, in which of these relations, I'm not, this is not, I'm not interested in your recitation and so on. Yeah?
Not recitation.
So I'm not interested in whether you're able to quote properly. That's not my interest.
It's not a quote,
I am interested more in your ideas here. So in which of these interactions were the Muslims peaceful?
When I said to you I'm not knowledgeable on my religion as well as I should be, I am more knowledgeable than the average Christian because they basically never know anything about the Bible, they've never read it or anything like
Please
that.
don't gaslight. Please, I'd like for you to stick to what you
Fair
know
enough, yes,
instead of commenting about Christians who you may or may not know about. Please, yeah.
I apologize for doing that. So why I said that was because you can quote verses from the Quran that I am not too sure. I think I got the verse. That I'm not too sure about, but it has context and it's not specifically about how they treat the people and they're supposed to treat them in a bad way, but it's more about the specific incident there and then.
Sure.
But I'm not too sure on the context. But I can show you this verse. Wait.
Try, yeah.
No, it's in Mumtahana. Sophia, it's in this surah. Yeah, so what I can base it down on is based on this.
Yep. Could you read that? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you can
Or
read
should
it,
I
it's
read?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too
So, ayat 8 is what you have in mind? 8?
Yeah.
So, Surah Al-Mumtahana.
Mumtahana, yes.
Mumtahana, Surah 60, ayat 8. So, I'm reading loud. Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you because of religion and do not expel you from your homes, from being righteous toward them and acting justly toward them. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. So, what's your point based on this?
So this is the basis of Islam on the people that are they're not against them in wars or anything like that.
Against,
this is, yes.
Yeah, so you think this expresses peace?
Yeah, this is what it is.
Sure.
Not peace, but I say.
Yeah.
Not peace. You're obsessed over the word by peace.
That's my only area of concern.
Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure. But
Yeah.
this is, what does this tell you? What do you understand from this verse? I want to ask you, what do you understand from this verse?
Well, I understand that you are quoting a verse which
What does-
seems to imply
Be genuine here. Be genuine.
which seems to imply
Yes.
that Allah is saying, unless someone fights you on religion and expels you from your homes or aids in the expulsion, please don't come too close. Please don't come too close. I don't know why you're. Please don't come too close. This guy always is too close.
It's fine.
He knows I'm not.
Let's continue, please, man. Continue.
Please don't come too close. I'll consider that as an assault, please. Thank you. Expulsion. Allah is saying, unless someone fights against your religion, don't do some stuff. Forbids. It doesn't say what, particularly in this ayat, but forbids. Oh, sorry, that is ayat 8. Yeah. That's what it's saying.
Yeah. So, what's the issue you have with the ayah?
I'll tell you what my issue is.
Please, yeah.
I don't know if you've read through Surah Al-Mumtahana carefully.
Mumtahana, yes.
Yeah. If you know Al-Mumtahana, which is not a long chapter, yeah, it's only about 12,
very short,
very short, 12 or 13 ayats. If you go through the entire surah, what you would find is exactly the opposite of what you think it says in ayat 8.
Okay.
And this is where, and I'll talk about the gaslighting of the Quran later, but I'll explain to you what it says. We'll double check if this is true or not. You can double check also. In the way, if you read through the first couple of ayats of the same surah, you know what it says? There were Muslims. It's Allah who is speaking to the Muslims.
Where are you understanding this, or where are you getting your
I'm
knowledge
reading
from? Are you
it. I've read
through
this
here?
before. I've read this
But
before.
do you already have your beliefs and you're implementing your beliefs on the
No,
book while
no.
reading it? Or?
No, I just read
So
this.
I'm not disrespecting you here, brother. But are you like a scholar here to understand?
I have
what
read the
context and
Quran.
everything?
I have read the Quran.
What have you read it by? Like, what do you have read it by? I have read the Quran. I know parts of the Quran, but I don't know the translation, the proper translation of it. I don't know that, and I'm not going to translate. Some verses are very clear, right? So you can read it, I can read it. It's very understandable. But there are contexts behind it, and that's why I am afraid to misquote my own Quran.
Sure. But let's put it this way.
Yes.
Because you
No,
are.
but do you understand my question?
I hear what you're saying.
No, you said that you analysed it. Whatever. I'm asking you through
I
what
hear
basis
your
and
question.
what do you use
Sure,
to
sure.
analyse it?
I'll respond. Ahsan, you said.
Ahsan.
Hassan.
Ahsan.
Ahsan. Yeah. Ahsan, I'll clarify. For example, today,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not,
Yes.
the reality is, as an English speaker, staying in the UK, I can actually get to know about what's happening across the world, reading articles written in English. For instance, I can read articles written in English about details of war in Iran right now. Now, if some person shows up here and says, "Oh, look, only if you read an article in Persian, you can really understand, and if you don't read an article in Persian, you won't know what is happening in Iran."
I'm sorry, but
Please let me finish. I would say, well, I understand there might be some nuance you may miss, but if you say I can't understand anything, you are wrong. There might be some nuance which might need further clarification. We will find if that is the case here. But broadly, the objective of the Muslims giving away an English translation is that broadly they can communicate what is in the Quran. Broadly, not necessarily every single nitty-gritty, but broadly in English. That's the reason why they have an English translation. And so I would like for us to read this, and I have read this. I have read the Quran, in all sorts of different ways, and I've written my first book on Islam. That's my first book on Islam, and this is where I'd like for you to hear what I'm saying,
Okay, sure.
for us to then go through what is here, and then for you to critically evaluate if what I'm saying is here or not. If you think further clarification is needed from Arabic, we can even look at Arabic. I have Arabic Quran also
Sure,
on my
let's do
phone.
that. Let's do that, yeah.
Sure. So the point is this.
But I feel like, sorry,
Yeah.
you know, this is my first time I've ever, literally ever come here, and within less than 30 seconds, you stopped me and asked me, is the Islam religion of peace, based on the scarf that I'm wearing on my head. And it just feels like this whole thing, you were well prepared, and I'm not, to be honest, but it's fine. But I am genuine, and I hope you're genuine as well, brother.
I am a Christian. So far,
Genuine.
Did you see anything? I understand you have speculative ideas.
It's not speculative. It all builds up and it all leads to
Sure.
something.
But
I
now
can
question I'm going to ask you.
pattern. Yeah, sure.
Question I'm asking you so far.
Okay.
So far.
So
So
before
far.
before you continue, brother, we're having a very respectful conversation here. Are you going to insult my religion while I'm here? Are you? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I'll tell you honest to
Just
my.
yes or no?
I'll answer. I have been here at Speaker's Corner 18 odd years. I always go only by facts. Only by facts. I have no benefit in saying something which is not factual when making a comment. Now, if there are some aspects here which I find problematic, but I factually bring it up, but he doesn't like me bringing that up, that's his problem, not my problem.
Factually, and adding your input, your own opinion by insulting.
I never,
Anyway,
I
regardless,
always go to the
if you wanna
so
have-
far,
if
you know,
it's fine, brother. We haven't really spoken about much. But if you want to have a more conversation, if you're not going to insult my religion, or
Sure.
anything to do
You
that,
can,
no, I'll continue.
you can
with
decide
You, no problem.
as you go along, please.
What we're going to do as a brother,
Yeah.
I've been here for 10 years, we know him.
Yeah.
All he's good at asking questions, putting you on the spot.
know, but it's
and they
fine.
want content. I know it's fine by you, but as a Muslim, we have to,
Tell me, inform me.
so that you know. It's up to you if you want to do it, but we know who it's like. That's it. So that's it. It's up to you.
I'd like to think, this is, as fellow human beings, I have been respectful towards you.
I know.
I've been cordial.
It's fine, brother.
And I am telling you, I am interested only in a friendly conversation. You don't have to come prepared. I'm not holding you up and say, hey, look, if you don't get the right answer, you won't get your next day meal or something. That's not what's happening. It's just fellow human beings. If we can't do this, then why live together? You know what I mean? So my point is this. So you focused on Ayat 8 to help to comment to me an idea that Islam is peaceful. I have a problem that Islam shows cordiality unless they assault you, unless they attack you.
Sorry, brother. I just want to remind you. I was saying when we started this conversation, I said to you that peaceful wasn't my main objective, and it wasn't like that. And you asked me, how can you show it's peaceful? I'm saying to you how we treat people, and you showed me, show me, and I showed you that verse.
Exactly.
So peaceful is not priority for me. Per se.
I didn't use the word priority. I'm not saying your priority is peace. I'm not saying.
No, your priority is peace. You're looking for peace.
My conversation.
I haven't read your book, but I can see blood on here.
Sure.
I can see you're upset, not obsessed, but like
Hassan,
Islam, how
let me put it this way.
how you perceive Islam is about
Hassan,
life.
let's put it this
So
way.
obviously peace is the opposite of that. So if you're starting with that, I can tell what you're looking for.
So let's put it this way. If both of us are police officers, if someone comes and attacks someone else here, whether it is his first priority or not is irrelevant. If both of us care about our fellow human beings, and if one assaults another, we would need to step in as fellow human beings who care about our fellow human being and say, look, stop. And if the person says, oh, my first priority, that's not relevant. You see what I'm saying? My point is very simply.
What you said now makes sense, but how does it apply to what we're talking about?
All that I'm saying is, like, I am. Don't be offended by the blood.
I'm not
You haven't-
by it. I'm just saying I can see. I can see it.
All that you could see, if I were you,
Yes.
all that I would see when I see that is this book has something to do with blood, and therefore, maybe Arul is making a case for why he thinks Islam is not
let's
peaceful.
continue, brother.
You don't have to be offended. You just need to ask the question: is it factually researched?
I made a
That's
point.
all you need.
I can't remember what my point was. I made a point.
No problem.
And that's why I mentioned it.
Surah Al-Mumtahana, I'll go back. Surah Al-Mumtahana, this is the main problem I have with what you've presented so far, and this is it. Surah Al-Mumtahana, the context is simply this, and I will show that from here to you. In English first and later on in Arabic if you feel the need to do that. The context is simply this. Allah was speaking through the Prophet to Muslims, and this is somewhat the rough content of the conversation. Allah was looking at the Muslims and he was a little bit, how come you Muslims are at peace with some other people who clearly seems like they are non-Muslims? Muslims, how are you at peace with those non-Muslims? i.e., how haven't you taken them as your enemies already? And these Muslims had every reason, whatever they had as reason, they had every reason not to take the specific non-Muslims that Allah had in His mind as enemies. So they were at peace. But Allah is coming, look, they are my enemies. How come you're taking my enemies as your friends? You can't do that. Because they are my enemies. And He doesn't explain why Allah was offended. But He is simply saying, even though you don't think they should be your enemies, because they are my enemies, I force you, I compel you, I am instructing you to take them as your enemies. That's the entire objective right through the surah. It repeats, keeps repeating. The idea, how can you take my enemies as your friends, shows up in multiple places here. And I can demonstrate that by reading.
Show me.
Let's first ayat, yes, say same Al-Mumtahina first. O you who have believed, i.e. Muslims, yeah, do not take my enemies and your enemies as allies. Even though it says your enemies, clearly it is conveying the idea that whoever these people were considered as allies by these Muslims. Not enemies but allies. And Allah is saying, how come you're taking them as allies? They're supposed to be your enemies. That's what He's saying in statement 1.
No, not really.
What is He saying? What do you think He's saying in statement 1 there?
I'm not going to attempt to try. I already established to you that I'm not somebody of knowledge, and I'm not going to read this basic. This is just like This is a translation. This is a translation. It's not an explanation of it.
Sure. Let me bring
And
the Arabic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what am I going to understand Arabic properly?
You don't know Arabic?
I can read Arabic, but
Yeah.
understanding Arabic is a very different thing.
Yeah. So how are you exactly going to find out if it is saying what I am saying or not? How will you find out?
Let's see.
Yeah. English or Arabic?
Let's do both.
Both. Yeah. So maybe for convenience, for simplicity, you can read English first if that's the only language you understand,
No.
and you can read Arabic later. Or you can choose your own preference.
Sure.
If you want to read the Arabic, that's fine also. Oh, those who I'm going with English here. Yeah? Oh, those who believed, do not take my enemies and your enemies as allies. So what have they taken the other people as? The believers referred to here. How have they taken the other people, the third party being referred to? They have taken them as allies, yeah? And Allah is a bit upset. No, I'm not saying upset. I'm dramatizing a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Allah is not happy. No, He is in conflict with that disposition. He's saying, look, how can you take them as allies? They are my enemies and your enemies. Bear in mind, this is where the nitty-gritty matters. It actually, the same statement says your enemies and your allies. Yeah. In effect, in practice, they were treating them as allies, but Allah is referring to them as enemies. In other words, He is trying to convince these people.
Okay, brother.
You see what I'm saying?
Sorry, brother. I don't want to continue with much longer. Why? Because, brother, what I can see from you is you already have your beliefs, right? And you are with me. I'm not an expert on this, and you're not an expert on it. But you have your beliefs, and you're trying to implement your beliefs on what you're reading. That's what I can perceive with you, brother. I'm not gonna. I can't even correct you because I'm not even too sure about these verses. But what I can talk to you about this, brother. Let's put this away. What I can talk to you about is this. If you really think that this is how God perceives us, that's what God wants us to do. Who follows their religion best? Let's be completely honest, right?
Sure.
Well, let's forget about which religion
Do you
is
think
right, which one's wrong.
Muhammad
Let's-
followed?
let's-
Yeah, sure.
I'm not asking you that question. What I'm asking you is this, right? Let's put aside which religion is correct. Out of all the religions, who best embody their religion to the absolute? Who do that most? Who know their book? And who follow the commandments? And who follows their religion properly? Out of all the religions, who does that?
I don't know. Do you have statistics on this? I don't know. You may have your opinion on this.
Opinion?
I may have
So
my
you-
opinion on this.
come on, brother.
But not relevant right now. What
No,
I'm
it's
saying.
it's not. I'm not going to continue. I've already established. I'm not going to continue this with you
But-
because I am not knowledgeable on this aspect, and
This is
neither
a
are you.
statement right
And
now.
you have, brother. No, you have your beliefs, and you're trying to read
What do
your
you mean
beliefs
I have
into the
your-
book.
No, wait 1 second. If you don't know what it really says, what do you mean when you say I have my beliefs?
You have
I'm
your
reading
beliefs
this.
that you already believe, and you're trying to read it
No.
upon the book.
No.
Brother, that's what I'm seeing you doing the first hand, and I cannot correct you because I'm not knowledgeable in this aspect.
I'm not.
brother,
Okay, if
Yeah,
what
do you
you're
understand?
saying is.
But
if
do you
what you're
understand
sa-
what I'm saying?
I hear what
brother,
you're saying.
brother, please, you jumped from my point. But I allowed you to talk all this time. Very respectfully, brother. I didn't interrupt you or anything like that. But I asked you a question, and you pretended like you don't know the answer for it.
There is no. If you have
Who
statistics,
follows the religion to the
both
to
in
the
Islam,
utmost?
okay, I'll answer right now.
Okay.
But
Have
please
you-
hear my full
Okay,
answer.
Yes.
Both in Islam and in Christianity, there are good apples, good.
I'm not asking
but
you
you
that,
need
brother.
to hear my answer.
I'm not asking you that,
You
brother.
ask me.
Look, brother.
Let me answer.
I'll let you answer, brother. But I don't want you to waste your time because I didn't ask you that
But
question.
please don't interject. I will answer.
But I didn't ask you that question. I didn't ask you
You
that
asked me who are imitating, who are practicing. You didn't use the word practice. Who are imitating?
Who just follows their religion
Sure,
properly.
follows.
That's it.
And that's what I'm
Yes,
trying to answer.
sure.
That is why I use the word good apples to refer to people who are following it properly.
Sorry, my bad. I thought you meant by good apples, people, bad people, good people. That's what I
No,
thought
no,
you
no.
meant by that.
By good apples, I mean apples which are meant to be apples. Yeah. So, okay, maybe I'll stick to your wording. Among both Christians and Muslims, there are both people. For example, among Christians, there are both people who imitate Jesus properly and not so properly. And among Muslims also, you have the same.
Yes, of course.
There are Muslims who follow Islam properly.
Human beings.
No, exactly. Human beings, you get both varieties. And the ones who imitate their religion properly, I am calling as good apples for their religion.
Sure.
So there are good Christians, i.e., more religious Christians, should I say, more practicing
More
Christians.
well informed about their religion as well.
Well informed and practicing, and likewise well informed and practicing Muslims.
Yeah.
On both sides, you have both. If you are asking me on which side is the proportion more, I would say in all my research, I've been dealing with this topic for 18 years. I don't think there is any statistics necessarily.
Okay.
And therefore I'm not sure. I don't want to say something which is not statistically identified. All that I can say is this. I can make another remark though, which is this. I know what good practitioners of Christians do, and I know what good practitioners of Islam do. And I'll tell you this based on.
That's not my question.
Sure, statistics. No, I don't think.
It's not statistics.
What is the answer?
I wanted to make a point, brother. And it was just
Sure,
a quick,
please go
It
ahead.
was just a quick answer from
I
you to
don't-
tell me
I don't know.
who to do
I
that.
don't think anyone knows, but you
Okay.
can go ahead.
But there's a very simple comparison that we can do. Maybe
Sure.
it's not going to analyze everything,
Sure.
and maybe it's not going to have everything grouped in everything. But how many Christians actually read the whole Bible?
I don't know. Many, maybe. I don't know.
Come on.
Do you have statistics?
Brother, I can
No,
ask.
no, come on.
Have you read your whole Bible?
Oh, I have read my Bible over and over again multiple
How
times.
much of it do you know?
Oh, I know all
By
of
heart.
it.
By heart.
Well,
by heart.
I
Come on,
debate.
let's be genuine. Come on, brother. Let's be
Look,
genuine.
you asked me.
Yes.
I have told you. Now you're behaving as if you know me better than I know myself. Don't
Okay,
do that.
so-
Please
so-
don't do that.
sorry, brother. So if
Please
I-
don't do that. You are the only one who seems to
That's
believe
fine.
in something and forcing your belief on me. You
No,
don't
you're
know.
just-
You've asked me. I have
Yeah.
told you the answer. I
Okay,
don't know
but
why you're
we
repeating
can-
multiple times.
We can prove it very simply, brother. If I just grab a Bible, I've never read the Bible, by the way.
Sure.
But if I grab a Bible and go from a random verse and say to you to continue reading from this verse because you know it off by heart, would you be able to continue
No,
to
I
read
didn't
it?
say this. No Christian.
So no Christian can do that. But
Please,
that was the
please
basis.
listen
That
carefully.
was the basis.
No,
of
that wasn't the
comparison.
basis.
That was my basis. You said
Recitation
anything.
is a word you never used in your questioning so far.
All right, brother.
Recitation.
If I didn't use it, then forgive me, brother.
You
I
didn't.
meant it.
You know it.
Okay,
You
then
didn't.
forgive me then.
Sure,
Yeah,
you
sure.
meant it, but you didn't use.
Yeah.
I can tell you this.
Yeah.
As intelligent human beings, in any field of intelligence, people don't care about recitation. In a field of intelligence, we don't care.
Yeah.
I'll give you a simple example. Let's say NASA has sent people to the moon today. No NASA astronaut would be required to recite a book by heart. That doesn't qualify them as intelligent at all.
Brother.
Please listen. Recitation is a requirement only in Islam, and in my mind, that is a foolish requirement. In my mind, foolish requirement.
Why?
To treat adults as not adults, but like as
Treat what?
adults.
Idols.
Adults.
Adults. Okay.
Do you know why in Islam recitation started? Do you know?
Sorry, brother.
Do you know?
No, we're getting very.
The
very
Quran gives an answer.
Come on, brother. I've said that so I can make a point,
Sure.
and then we just keep getting sidetracked.
Recitation,
Because you
I
don't-
couldn't care
because
less.
You don't want to. It's not about whether you're caring less or not. We're talking about who follows their religion to the utmost, and how can we compare it? Is you guys have your holy book, we have our holy book. Who follows their holy book to the utmost? That was our comparison. It was a very simple
And how
comparison.
do you
We
compare
couldn't-
recitation? Why recitation plays a role
No,
here?
because I'm saying to you that I know that most Muslims know their book and Christians don't. That's what I'm saying to you. That was my point.
Knowing
of
is different
comparison.
from reciting.
Knowing is different from reciting.
Of course.
Come on, brother. You're just
How is
conflicting
knowing the
everything.
same as
Yeah, sure.
reciting?
I want to hear you, yes. No, I want to hear your
Yeah,
explanation.
because like reciting is different. You can just
Very
recite
different
it,
to know
but
it.
you don't know
I'll
it.
put it this way.
Where
You're
does your
27
come?
years old. What is your field of work?
It's fine. I'm not going to.
I am an engineer. I'll give you a simple example.
Brother, but
One second.
sorry, before,
Please.
I'll let you. I'll let
point
you.
is not-
I will let you continue your point, brother. But I'm just saying to you, I just can't see genuinity from you here. At the beginning, you were being genuine with me, even though you had your hidden agenda. I could see it where we were going, but I followed to
You see
continue.
hidden agenda.
It's
Are
fine,
you
brother. It's
kidding?
fine. It's fine. Brother. It's
Don't,
fine. Don't worry.
it's
Don't
fine.
worry. Don't worry about
Don't
it.
gaslight.
I'm not
Please don't.
gaslighting, brother. I'm
How,
not gaslighting.
what do you mean by hidden agenda? What hidden agenda did I have?
Brother, when you started with the question of peace, brother, we've already established that, brother. We've already
Listen
established.
carefully. You
Yes.
said you could see my hidden agenda.
Yes.
What was the hidden agenda?
You wanted to guide the conversation in a certain direction. I pretended like I didn't know that was happening, and I continued with you on this conversation, and we've established we got to this point.
If
here.
if it wasn't simple
Brother.
enough, I'll explain. Right at the
simple,
start.
what's not simple?
Please hear me out. Right at the start,
Yeah.
I laid out my motivation in public. So
Yeah.
when I say public, open between you and me. Right at the start, my motivation is on evaluating whether Islam is peaceful or not. I laid it out open. There was no hidden agenda there. It was open agenda. And therefore, I asked you if you believe in Islam being peaceful. Now, and therefore, I'm asking you to give. Now, clearly, an idea of a conversation is if you believe in the same thing I believe in, I'm not interested in your ideas. I know it already. Clearly, as a Christian, my idea is, look, we differ. Let's have a conversation. That's the entire agenda. So there's nothing hidden there. It was open.
That's fine,
So
brother.
please
We
don't
can-
tell me there was some hidden agenda.
If I'm wrong, brother, forgive me, okay?
Now,
If I'm
I will
wrong-
tell you one thing.
If I'm wrong,
Please
if
don't think-
If I said something wrong about you and you actually are genuine, you want to be like this, forgive me, brother.
When you have no reason to question my,
Do you forgive me if I
I will forgive
misinterpreted
you
something?
even
Yes or no?
otherwise.
Yes
I
or
am
no?
a Christian.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you.
As a Christian, I will forgive you
Okay.
even if you, I'm not saying you will punch me, yeah? But even if you punch me for whatever reason, I will still forgive you
I don't
because
believe
I am a
that to be
Christian.
true, but that's okay, brother.
This is true. This is Christianity.
Okay.
But my point is this. So there's nothing hidden. It's only I
All right,
genuinely want.
let's just jump.
Sure.
I've apologized for you if I'm
Sure.
wrong in your
Sure.
rights. Let's just jump.
I
Let's go back.
genuinely think so. Now I'll go back all the way to the Surah Al-Mumtahina and the
No,
rest
brother,
of the.
no, brother,
What
please.
can I please wrap up that point and you can
Okay,
you may
sure.
not
But
may
I'm
not
gonna
agree.
I'm not going to give my input.
Sure,
on
sure.
that.
You may not agree, but take it home for something to consider. As you know, you're 27 now. Maybe in the next 10 years, maybe you might consider this carefully, research further from your sources and whatever. But ask these questions, maybe. And so please take it as an input, which you may not agree with right now, which is this: in the Quran, interaction of the Muslims with multiple different parties are recorded. Jews and the Christians, generally referred to as the people of the scripture, sometimes specialized as Jews and Christians, with custodians of Masjid al-Haram, and with general
What?
custodians of Masjid al-Haram. Masjid
yeah,
al-Haram.
Masjid-
Yeah. And finally also general mushrikun, general polytheists, idolaters. And others, wandering Arabs, for instance, in Surah 47 or 48, wandering Arabs. There is reference to the Meccans, Medinans, people of Medina, in one of those chapters also. So there is reference to all sorts of different people and interaction that Muslims had with all sorts of different people. I would like to comment to you, when you study all the interactions in detail,
Based on the Quran or
based on the Quran,
how God tells us to
read through the text meticulously. Historical.
Or the Quran record. Which one?
Quran is also
I'm
historical.
asking you, which one are you spacing it
I am
on? This
using the
or
Quran
the historical?
and details outside the Quran, but using the Quran is sufficient. You go through all of it, and what you would find is the exact opposite of what you think Islam is. Islam is not a religion of peace.